What is a hero? The words mean many different things to many different people. To young children, a hero might be his dad, an older brother, a fireman, or even Batman. To the middle-aged, a hero might be your spouse. To the older generation, a hero might be your son or daughter or grandchild. I will tell you who a hero is, and I ask you that you close your eyes and envision in your mind the man I'm about to describe. If everyone could please close their eyes. The average age of a military man is 19 years. He is a short-haired, tight-muscled kid who, under circumstances, is considered by society as half man, half boy. Not yet dry behind the ears, not old enough to buy a beer, but old enough to die for his country. He never really cared much for work, and he would rather wax his own car than wash his father's, but he has never collected unemployment either. He is a recent high school graduate. He was probably an average student, pursued some form of sports activities, drives a 10-year-old jalopy, and has a steady girlfriend that either broke up with him when he left or swears to be waiting when he returns from half the world away. He listens to rock and roll or hip hop or rap or jazz and 155 millimeter howitzers. He is 10 or 15 pounds lighter now than he was when he left at home because he is working or fighting from before dawn to well after dusk. He has trouble spelling, thus letter writing is a pain for him, but he can field strip a rifle in 30 seconds and reassemble it in less time in the dark. He can recite to you the nomenclature of a machine gun or grenade launcher and use either one effectively if he must. He digs foxholes in latrines and can apply first aid like a professional. He can march until he is told to stop or stop until he is told to march. He obeys orders instantly and without hesitation, but he is not without spirit or individual dignity. He sometimes forgets to brush his teeth, but never to clean his rifle. He can cook his own meals, mend his own clothes, and fix his own hurts. If you're thirsty, he'll share his water with you. If you are hungry, his food. He'll even split his ammunition with you in the midst of battle when you run low. He has learned to use his hands like weapons and weapons like they were his hands. He can save your life or take it because that's his job. He will often do twice the work of a civilian, draw half the pay, and still find ironic humor in it all. He has seen much more suffering and death than he should have in his short lifetime. He has stood atop mountains of dead bodies and helped to create them. He has wept in public and in private for friends who have fallen in combat and is unashamed. He feels every note of the national anthem vibrate through his body while at rigid attention, while tempering the burning desire to square away those around him who haven't bothered to stand, remove their hat, or even stop talking. In an odd twist, day in and day out, far from home, he defends their right to be disrespectful. Just as his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather did, he is paying the price for our freedom. Fearless or not, he is not a boy. He is the American fighting man that has kept this country free for over 200 years. He has asked nothing in return except our friendship and understanding. Remember him always, for he has earned our respect and admiration with his blood. This is the American military man, written by an unknown author. This is his day. This is our hero. Now please open your eyes. Distinguished guests, fellow veterans, current members of our armed forces, Gold Star moms and Blue Star dads, I'm deeply honored to speak here today at this most sacred American tradition of honoring our fallen. Memorial Day has always held special meaning for my family. I come from a proud military family who has seen its fair share of sacrifice and loss, as so many other American military families have. From my great-grandfather, who fought for the Union Army in the Civil War, to my sons who are now serving in the Middle East and abroad protecting and defending us. Our soldiers, Marines, airmen, and sailors selfishly serve to protect our way of life and our freedoms. They are separated from their loved ones and families for many months or even years at a time as they go into harm's way. As a former soldier, and now the parent of servicemen, I know from experience that even though they miss their loved ones during deployment, their despair is usually interrupted because their mission keeps them occupied. The families back home sacrifice and suffer much more than they let on. They can't sleep at night, envisioning incoming mortar attacks on their airmen in Kandahar, or IEDs hit along the roadside targeting their soldier in Kabul, or depth charges dropped from an enemy destroyer in the Pacific, coming ever so close to their sailor and his submarine. It is the wise husbands, children, parents, and brothers and sisters who are back home awaiting the safe return of their loved one. It is the wives and husbands praying to God every night for the safe return of their partner. It is the parents praying to God every day that their sons and daughters come home and live a full life, raise a family, and make them into grandparents. I am the proud father of 2 sons in the Air Force. Both have served overseas and have provided me with 2 wonderful grandchildren. My 3rd oldest son is graduating Clinton High School this weekend and has enlisted in the Army to be a combat medic. Not all of our brave men and women always make it home, though. Today is their day to be remembered and honored. My uncle was one of the brave submariners during World War II who made the ultimate sacrifice for his country. Charles Burton joined the U.S. Navy after high school in 1942. He received his training at the Great Lakes Naval Academy and was assigned to a submarine, the USS Herring, as a diesel mechanic. After many successful missions, the USS Herring departed Pearl Harbor on his final mission on May 16, 1944. Charles was only 24 years old. The Herring and its sister ship, the USS Parr, crossed the Pacific Ocean and refueled at Midway Island before going on to the Kurile Islands, which is a strip of islands separating Russia and Japan. The Herring had snuck into a Japanese harbor late one night and sunk 2 enemy ships at anchor. As she was making her way back out of the harbor, she was hit and sunk by 2 artillery shells fired from a Japanese shore battery on June 1, 1944. My uncle and the crew of the USS Herring were never recovered, and their souls are on eternal patrol. I can remember my grandmother, even 30 years after his death, still held on to hope that somehow he survived. Now, I was too young to know my uncle, but my grandmother and my father told me his story and taught me to respect our servicemen. It's our responsibility and duty now to teach our children the real meaning of service to our country, sacrifice, and liberty and freedom. Many of my family members have served during wartime. Some served in the Civil War, some served in World War II, some served in the Korean War. Some are serving now in the Middle East. One was a POW, and one never made it home. I served in the U.S. Army as a combat engineer from 1981 to 1989. After leaving the Army, I returned home and became a police officer, and I'm currently a school resource officer. I work in schools teaching kids how to be safe, and I recently spoke to the children at their Veterans Appreciation Program this year. Let me share with you a story I told to them about a tradition that all of us take part in every day. We have all learned the words to the Pledge of Allegiance and recite them every day in school, at sporting events, and other public venues. But do you know who wrote these words? And do you know what all the words of the pledge mean? In 1892, a man named Francis Bellamy had an idea. The year 1892 was the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's discovery of the continent of North America. Bellamy wanted school children in the United States to honor Columbus Day in a special way. He wanted them to think about what America and its flag stood for. So Bellamy sat down and wrote some words for children to recite while they saluted the flag. He called his words the Pledge of Allegiance. In September of that year, Bellamy published his pledge in a magazine called the Youth Companion. The pledge was also printed and sent to all schools across the country. Bellamy's idea was a great success. On October 12, 1892, More than 12 million school children in the United States celebrated Columbus Day by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance for the first time. The pledge became so popular that Americans have been reciting it ever since. Francis Bellamy carefully chose the words he put in the Pledge of Allegiance. Since then, a few of the words have been changed. In particular, the words "under God" were added by Congress in 1954. But most of the pledge is exactly the way Bellamy wrote it. Let's look at the words of the pledge and what they mean. The words "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America" means I promise to be loyal to the flag of the United States of America. The words "and to the republic" means I promise to be loyal to the country and type of government. The words "for which it stands" means what the flag stands for. The words "one nation" means a single country. The words "under God" means a country that obeys and honors a supreme being. The word "indivisible" means a country that can never be divided. The words "with liberty and justice for all" means a country where there is freedom and fairness for everyone. Some of the words in the Pledge of Allegiance had special meaning for Bellamy. For example, republic means a certain type of government. In a republic, people get to elect those who make the laws. Bellamy believed that being loyal to the United States meant being committed to this idea. The words "one nation" and "indivisible" had special meaning for Bellamy also. Only 30 years before, the United States had fought a terrible civil war. Back then, the nation had nearly divided into two separate countries. In the pledge, Bellamy is saying we can never let such a thing happen again. We are one country forever. Finally, the United States Constitution promises freedom and fairness for all Americans, but Bellamy knew that these promises had not always been kept. In his day, people still remembered slavery, and too many people were still not treated equally, especially women and African Americans. That's why Bellamy included the words "with liberty and justice for all." He wanted Americans to help their country live up to its promises. Think about these words the next time you pledge allegiance to the flag. Remember that you are promising to be loyal to the ideas that makes the United States a special place. And that means helping your country to be its very best. A famous author, Kelly Strong, once wrote, "I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young Marine saluted it, and then he stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud. With hair cut square and eyes alert, he'd stand out in the crowd. I thought how many men like him had fallen through the years. How many died on foreign soil, how many mothers' tears. How many pilots' planes shot down, how many died at sea. How many foxholes became soldiers' graves, no freedom is not free. I heard the sounds of taps one night when everything was still. I listened to the bugler play and felt a sudden chill. I wondered just how many times that taps had meant amen, when a flag had covered the casket of a brother or a friend. I thought of all the children, of the mothers and the wives, of fathers, sons, and husbands with interrupted lives. I thought about the graveyard at the bottom of the sea, of unmarked graves at Arlington, no freedom is not free. Let us always remember our fallen patriots in our prayers. They gave their all for us. Thank you very much.